my peeps, welcome back to this video. My name is McKenzi and today we will be pretty much setting up my January bullet journal. We had already colored everything in, and so it's now time to put everything that we needed into our planner. I of course start with the important dates and put New Year's Day and put a little illustration on New Year's Day, and then we are moving on to the mood board. I kind of forgot about Martin Luther King Jr. Day, unfortunately, but it's going straight into my calendar right after this. For the mood board, though, we are picking out a bunch of pictures that we think will represent this month. I picked out a bunch of like foresty looks and a picture of a cozy cup of coffee or hot cocoa with a blanket. The reason why I am setting this up is so then that way I can feel those vibes all throughout the month, and these are the vibes that I want to bring in to this month. You guys can set it up however you want, but these are all images and pictures that remind me of January. I wanted it to be color, but unfortunately it didn't work out so well that way. Now we are going to be looking at our mood tracker and our habit trackers. If you can see, I already filled out some of those days. I've already had a kind of really bad day already, but that's okay. And then over here on my habit tracker, you can see that I have already written out what I am trying to track this month, which is exercise, journaling, drinking water, scripture reading, praying in the morning, and praying at night. When I was filming this, I hadn't quite filled out all of my January weekly spreads, so that'll be left up for when we fill them out throughout the month. Another thing that I kind of focused on this month is watercoloring. If you remember from my previous video, I had talked about how I haven't really experimented all that much with watercoloring, and I was using these pencils for that. Well, I thought that it would be a good idea to experiment a little bit, and watercolor is something that I really love. And anybody who knows me really well knows that I love cactuses. I absolutely adore cactuses. I love how they are shaped. I love the variety of color. I love how naturally they are. We see them a lot here in Arizona, and so I have just grown a really good fondness for them. So I start out with those watercolor pencils, and I fill in the whole cactus with them and even the little blooming flowers, even adding in some highlighting points and some shadows, so then that way it looks a little bit more real. And I even add a sun, and I add the ground, and then I just go over all of that with a paintbrush with some water on it, so then that way everything can kind of blend together relatively well. And I actually love how this painting ended up coming out. It's kind of an atypical cactus painting. I think I've seen a lot of people create this exact painting, but it was something that I still wanted to do. And of course, when you are dealing with these watercolor pencils, you do not want to mix colors that you don't intend to. So for instance, I do not want to mix that green into that brown that is the dirt. So what I do personally, at least as far as I have been aware of what I've been doing, is putting my brush into the water when I am ready to change colors, and so then that way all the colors kind of stay cohesive and they kind of stay out of the way from one another. But anyway, I love how this turned out, and I hope that you enjoy. Oh yeah, and then I finished up the painting by inking it in It wasn't quite dry, but it still stuck. And so I was really happy about the fact that it actually stuck and it didn't really move all that much. And that is just to add in the details into the cactus because, you know, cactuses have thorns all over them. I think all of us, one way or another, know that. And then also just to add some texture to the dirt and the ground. I added also a little rock there as well, and I just think it looks really cute. Comment down below, what do you guys think? And then with this watercolor, I did, of course, put it into my bullet journal, so then that way I can keep it safe. And that's it. Now we are on to the last thing that I worked on this month, which is setting up my January calendar. I found this calendar over at Target. It was only a $3 little calendar, and I thought that it would be a lot of fun to make my own rendition of what this calendar would look like in accordance to what my bullet journal looks like. So here are all the supplies that you will need, and let's get started. First things first, I get out my watercolor paper and I try to form it to where it should be on the calendar itself. Make sure that it doesn't cover up the days of the week, but otherwise, like, just make it a little bit messy if you want to, or else otherwise you can cut it with some scissors if you want. And then after you do that, then what you want to do is make a gradient from the middle going out, starting with yellow, then going on to orange, then going on to red, then finally leaving off on purple. This will create a really pretty sunset kind of look. We get a lot of sunsets here in Arizona, and I just kind of wanted that to be represented. Then what you want to do to keep the gradient is to paint from the middle all the way to the outside. I made the mistake of trying to draw my paintbrush towards the middle, and so some of the colors got a little muddled, but the point still kind of stayed. While we let that sit to the side to dry, we are going to be doing some symbols to fill in those little spaces at the top that are just blank and won't be used as much. So first off, I am drawing some things that kind of remind me of January, and when I think of January, I think of goals. And so I just kind of drew some things that are kind of some atypical goals, like exercising, eating more healthy, drinking water, you know, those kinds of things. So I drew a weight, I drew a water with a lemon on it, I drew some little strawberries, and I drew an orange, because those are the things that remind me of January. And then I'm just cutting them out once they are dry, and then we get to go to the fun part, which is sticking them onto the calendar itself. Start out with the border on the top, sticking it on with that sticky tape stuff. Then put on your little symbols onto each of those things using the same Elmer's glue sticky tape. And then we're going to move on to making the header. I decided to go with this calligraphy, kind of, sort of, that kind of drags on, kind of like how I did inside of my journal. And I think it looks really elegant and pretty, and I think that it welcomes in the new year really well. And I really love how this calendar turned out. Let me know down in the comments below if you like it as well. Well, that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry that it was kind of all over the place. My husband got COVID, and so I have been taking care of him. But if you would like, then please give this video a thumbs up, and if you want to stay tuned for more awesomeness, then please subscribe and press the bell notification. It would really mean a lot to me, and it would make my icy heart really warm. I love you guys so much. Remember that you're amazing, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye, my peeps.